G'day and welcome to Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. As always, I really appreciate you walking with me and sharing this journey and sharing your energies to create these stories. So today I've been really thinking back and dwelling on, dwelling is probably, really feeling into the solstice and the portal opening and what that actually means for me. And I have a connection with the runestone gateway, the gateway runestone. I love runestones just as much as I love cards and crystals and other forms of communicating. And within the runestone, the gateway, it's about sort of really standing on the threshold and looking back at how far we've come and our journey so far, the things we've learned, the things we've let go of, and really taking this time to notice what we would like to take forward as we step through onto our new path. And that path at the moment is very much around that fifth dimensional energy, and sort of co-creating a world that is empowering for each other, that is actually respectful, is listening, is hearing each other clearly. And having a look back actually helps to work out how we'd like to move forward, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. So I've been doing quite a bit of that, especially today, in just noticing that I really feel comfortable in silence. And I really enjoy just sitting, watching the sunset and the sunrise, and the colours that can create and produce. And sort of really noticing and appreciating that when I was younger, I needed to have a lot of noise constant so that I couldn't hear myself. I was overwhelmed by my thought processes and different stories that were going off. I couldn't make sense, so I distracted myself and had a lot of, as I say, noise on. And these days I really love going to sleep in silence. I don't need any sounds. I am more comfortable in my own body. I'm more comfortable in my own skin, and I can actually tend to go to sleep. There are still times when I have thoughts coming up of my day and sort of going over things in the minutest of detail, and I've now learned how to put that down. Various meditation techniques actually help that, but I still need the silence, whereas sort of 20-30 years ago, well actually not even sort of that long ago, I needed to have music on as I went to sleep so I could focus on that and basically, I guess, drown out my thoughts. So I feel that this is what the portal and the gateway rune is about, is really noticing how far we've come and really honouring the journey that we've taken so far, but also having a look at the things that we may still be carrying at this moment, that we haven't actually honoured and let go of or put down, things that we're just sort of carrying for the sake of it because we feel that it needs time and space to be looked at, but we invariably keep very busy and not give ourselves the time and space to do it justice, or really look or feel into it so that we feel able to put it down. So I feel that that's what this time is about, is really giving ourselves that time and space to really appreciate how far we've come. What are we still carrying? How do we let that go? How do we put that down so that we continue moving forward lighter and clearer, and more open to more things coming in, And as they come in, having a clearer understanding of whether that belongs to us, whether we want that as part of our lives, or whether we put that straight down and step away from it because of our experiences in the past. We know that we may get hurt, or it doesn't fit for us, it doesn't resonate with us anymore, and so we can walk forward without it. And we also can have that sense going into places or situations. It might have been sort of even a couple of years ago where we'd be comfortable going to a certain place, or we felt we were comfortable going to a certain place, and actually now we have an emotional response to thinking about it, and we can actually spend some time to work that out. But at the same time, we don't have to go back in there to find out whether that's right or wrong. We actually can start to trust our instincts, start to trust our gut, and move in a different way. So I'm intrigued now to see where this is going. So we'll find which crystal or chakra point. I keep ending up with several in my hand. So I'm hoping we're still recording. We've got carnelian for our sacral. So very much that creative space. And as I was saying, as we walk towards situations, relationships, shops, going on trips, really trusting our instincts. If it brings a disquiet or an underlying concern, that's the time to stop and step away and really feel into what is it about that situation that we don't want to enter it. It may be that we're worried that that will give us too much joy, because we've experienced a lot of negativity or crap, that the opposite to what our norm is can feel quite overwhelming, and we don't always, and that can feed into whether we're worthy enough for it and whether we can actually embrace and accept joy and love and compassion into our lives. So it is really useful just to stop and really feel into what it is, that why we want to avoid something. And on the other side, it may be that we want to avoid it because it doesn't fit with us anymore. It's not, it doesn't resonate for us anymore, that it actually brings about fear and anxiety and stress that we don't want to have in our lives. So it's really taking that time to really feel into what's behind that initial gut response, and really feel into the emotional storyline of it, so that we can actually hear that aspect of ourselves and what it is it's trying to tell us, so that we can actually choose the way we react and respond to it. Do we ignore it and continue forward anyway because we would like to learn something else? Or is it the time to actually honour it and walk away and step into a different path and patternage? So, sorry, I've got a very itchy nose tonight. And we'll see what the cards have to say around all of this as well. I'll split them and see what the what is. So 3 cards are the house, the road, and the garden, which is really what I've been saying. So the house is us and our physical form, but also, so part of what I've noticed recently as well is that we invariably, and I know I certainly have, I have carried a lot of possessions throughout my life, for all that I keep starting over, more often than not, pretty much from scratch. There are a lot of items that I continue taking from place to place with me, just because I do, without really giving any thought to it, and don't give much attention to it. So what I've been trying to do recently is really having a look at those items and trying to get a sense as to why I want to continue carrying them. What is it? What story is behind it that I've been unable to let go of them? And some of those things I have been able to re-gift to people because I feel that they would get some pleasure out of it and possibly mean more to them. Other things I have let go of through burning, and other things I've sold. So it's really having a look at your environment and those things that we attach meaning to, because more often than not they are just an extension of our internal world. And a lot of the different psychologies and therapies out there suggest that, object relation theory is one of the sort of the larger examples of this, is that we put our emotions into different physical objects because that's easier to go forward if we externalize it, so we don't feel overwhelmed by carrying those emotions within. So with that, it's and looking at the gateway and being on the threshold, seeing the things that we've carried to where we are today, and having a look at whether we would like to continue carrying them or is it time to let them go. And it's the same with our emotions and those stories, those hurts, those abuses of trust, abuse, trauma, all of that is having, sometimes we end up carrying those forward with us because they're a part of us. And what we may not realize now is that it's no longer useful. And actually we've moved far enough in our lives that it is time to put them down, and they're no longer serving a purpose. They're just creating a hindrance. They're creating a block for us to step through that gateway cleanly and prevent us from moving forward, which brings me into the next card of the road. So before stepping through the gateway or through into the portal, the different timelines, is really having a look at what we would like to take forward with us. What are we taking on our journey? What do we really need on our journey? Because actually we don't really need a lot. There's a lot of things we would like, but it doesn't mean that we actually need them. Although saying that, I feel I need everything. No, joking. But it's really understanding what the emotional attachment is to those and why are we carrying them forward with us constantly, as opposed to, as I say, letting go of stuff that may be creating a block and actually may be causing us more hurt and damage than we really would choose in our lives now. So that then takes me into the garden. I'm going to try something. So going into the garden, and that is those social situations that, as I was saying, which really intrigues me, because the three cards really reflect what I was talking about with regards to the carnelian, that really stopping and really feeling into our emotional responses in going to a gathering, going into a specific shop, and walking into experiences and situations. And if we're having a gut response to it, really spending some time understanding what that's about. Is it that we're worried that we may learn something to help move us forward? Because that is a thing, that sometimes we get so used to the old stories, the old patterns, that they feel really comfortable. It's like having a pair of worn out shoes. They may have holes in them, they may leak, they may put your health at risk because you end up having wet feet walking outside in rain. but they're comfortable, they're familiar. And you know that buying a new pair of shoes may be uncomfortable to start off with before they become comfortable. And it can be the same for situations and experiences, that they may bring us more for us and clearer understanding and really making sense of our lives so far. But sometimes we're afraid of that knowledge, because sometimes it's back to that idea of the 2020 vision and that clarity of hindsight. That's a beautiful thing. But we don't know, we don't have that information at that time, and it's remembering that. So this idea of looking back and letting go and allowing that to integrate fully within is not about being critical. It's not to have a go. It's not to say, oh, we could have done that quicker, we could have done that sooner. That's not what this is about. It's actually about the appreciation of how far we've come, how much we've learned, and looking at, is it time to let go? Are we carrying things? Are we not allowing ourselves to trust others based on previous crossing the threshold of having people are breaking that trust around us? But recognizing that actually we've learned through that more about ourselves in relationships and the sort of people that we bring into our lives, that it's more likely that our trust won't be broken again, or if it is, it's about learning from that and gaining experience and weaving that in further, and really having a look at the lives we've woven so far and having a look at the patterns that's created, and do we want more of the darker colours, or is it time to tie those darker times off and bring in more colours and patterns that are lighter and brighter? And how do we do that? And some of that is letting go and honouring the lessons and the stories that's told us about ourselves, so that we can go forward lighter and brighter. So very much the sacral energy is, the sacral space is just amazing. The womb space, our creativity in birthing a new way of being, birthing the type of life that we would really like to live. But unless we really look back with honesty as to the journey so far, we won't really have a clear idea as to what it is that helps make our soul sing for going forward. If we don't acknowledge the more painful parts and letting those go as need be, we may inadvertently recreate situations again to mimic that, so that we actually do learn everything we need to. And the thing is, we've probably already done that. We've probably got so much experience, but we may not have had taken time to allow that to sift and settle through us, that we've ignored the darker parts so that we could just go rushing headlong into the next bit, because we want to escape those darker times, those darker thought processes, those darker feelings. But the thing is, we can't really escape them by running away. That we really need to look at them and allow them to integrate, let them go with love and kindness, and really feel compassionate and unconditional love towards ourselves, so that we don't inadvertently bring that back in. And that's going into sort of the garden card, that we notice the situations that we're drawn to, the people we're drawn to. What is it about them that why are we drawn to those people? Why are we drawn to those particular places? Is it because they bring us joy, or does it confirm our suspicion that we're not worthy, that we're not lovable, that people are going to break our trust, because we do invariably create situations to reinforce the negative. And it's learning or looking at those times when we've done that and saying that enough is enough, that we've learnt what we need to learn in that particular regard, integrating it, transmuting it, putting it down, and actually starting to go more often to spaces and people that encourage us to be the best that we can, that are empowering us, that is the people and situations that really honour and acknowledge that we are worthy and we are lovable and that we're compassionate, and empower us to be the best that we can be. So really noticing on our journey, on our path, those that really honour us as individuals, and help us create the world that we would like to live in. So I'm hoping, A, this is recorded all the way through, B, that it has actually resonated for some of you out there. So I feel that that's all that needs to come through at the moment, but I'm going to access whatever sound energy comes through for tonight. So for me, today has certainly been about looking back at solstice and that portal opening and what that actually means for me, and really resonating with the fact that for me, it is about the gateway rune, in standing on that threshold before jumping off the precipice into the next theme, and really noticing how far I've come, and really appreciating the different aspects of my life that's brought me joy or sadness or anger or pain, that actually it's created and woven a story that I'm really proud of, and just noticing the differences in my life, because these things tend to change so incrementally. They're so small, the changes over a longer period of time, that we don't truly notice until we look back and see just how far we've come. And we've probably done majority of the hard work already. This last bit is a bit like tweaking. It's the fine editing. It's just giving the last little rough edges a bit of a polish, so that we can actually move forward on our path and our journey lighter and brighter, and not taking things forward with us that no longer serve us, that is no longer required. So thank you very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. Love you all. Bye for now.